Welcome to Tactical Reviews for a first look at the new Nitecore TM20K. So it's part of the Tiny Monster series, hence the TM in the name. And this is a brand new model. I saw a prototype at IWA this year, and I'm going to take a first look around what comes in the box, and then it's going to need, you'll see as we go through, needs a little bit of preparation, and then we can start looking a little bit more at the actual function of it. So it comes in a nicely presented box, quite a good weight to that. Okay. Instructions, which we'll have to come back to because I think there's quite a lot of features in this light. Very nice looking case, almost a little bit sort of like a camera case in a way. Come back to that. And really the only other part to look at here is a box containing, it's a USB-C charging cable and a lanyard and a little bit of thread. This is something that you use in order to pull the lanyard through sometimes a small lanyard hole, just to make life easier. That's the USB-C cable. Just pop all of that in the box. I think we'll zoom in a little bit for a closer look around the important part of the package. Okay, we've come in closer to look at the holster and some of the other sort of pre-use details and information before you just crack it open and start using it. So there's a little tag here, which is a slight annoyance, but it's there for good reason. So they're telling you here, bear in mind this is rated at 20,000 lumen output. So you don't want this coming on and getting hot and melting something in a backpack. So they're warning you here, use the lockout mode. And on the other side it shows you where that lockout switch is. So just looking around the case, we've got a D-loop hanger and a Velcro closed belt loop plus a fixed belt loop. And the flap on this is a magnetic closure. It's quite nice. And a little bit like an old-fashioned camera lens lifting up to reveal the end of the light. Now, in terms of first impressions, in order to get that light out, you're going to have to push that all the way up, which will be, if it's belt mounted, it's going to be sort of pushing into your body. Not ideal, but I suppose it's still quite a nice looking system, and I do like the magnetic closure. Holster aside, and then here we have the TM20K. So as well as the little warning label, and we can actually see here the padlock 1 and 2. So this is our lockout, and it arrives in the lockout mode. And as we look down the barrel of all of these mass of LEDs, you can see there's a blue protective film over the front of the lens. you do not want to go turning this on until you have removed that film. So actually let's do that right now. There's a little tab, first bit slightly awkward. And wanting to stretch and rip, but this is a one only. And discard that. So now we can see full on into that massive array of LEDs. Steel belt clip, that's very strong. That is really quite substantial. And as I haven't even had a look at the instruction book, I can have to be guessing on some of this, and I'm sure I'll miss something. So looks like the USB-C charging port with little rubber cover. There's one power button. So we've got a couple of other switches either side, plus the lockout and mode switch selector, or at least operating mode, not output level. Oh, that seems to be a button as well. But what I'll do is I'll give it its first charge, which they tell you to do, have a look at the instructions and come back to run through what we actually can do with this light. And we're back now. I've had a chance to familiarise myself a little bit with the TM20K, and absolutely that was needed. There is quite a lot to that, so bear with me as we go through all of these features and functions, and you'll see why you do need a bit of time to get used to it. So as we go round, we've got a mode button on this side. We have the selector switch, which it came in lockout, and we have daily and tactical modes. We have a main power button with an indicator light in it, the USB-C charging, and two what Nitecore refer to as turbo ready or strobe ready tactical switches, so one either side. You can hear those click. At the moment it is in lockout, and even that has an interesting it's very well protected. You don't accidentally come out of the lockout, as I discovered while trying to get to know this. So let's start with that. Once it's been in lockout for 2 seconds, at that point it doesn't matter if you come back to any of the modes, we don't get any response apart from, I'm not sure it'll show here, a bit of flashing in the indicator. That's basically telling you it's locked out. So although we're not in the lockout position, in order to unlock we have to start in the lockout position. We need to press and hold the mode switch as we slide to one or other. May have caught in the video there, it just did a little indicator flash, and we're now on. So this is tactical, which means the power switch is momentary only. So that's turning it on. Now let's start in the daily mode. So in this case, pressing the power button will latch on the output, and then the mode switch will cycle through those. So here we have what they call ultra low. Ultra low for a tiny monster is still 320 lumens, so that's not ultra low, but in terms of a 20,000 lumen output, then yes, that is quite low. At this point, probably doesn't show too well in the video, but actually the outer ring are not lit up in the ultra low. If I come up one mode, that outer ring now are on, and they are on for those other modes, so the low, mid, high, back to ultra low. While it's on, there are two fixed output modes that are referred to as floodlight and spotlight, and in that case those are accessed, they're special modes. You have to press and hold and it either goes flood or spot while you're holding. When you let go, it remembers. So I've left it in spot mode, which is a fixed 1200 lumens, just the center LED. If I now short press, I return to normal daily mode levels. If I press and hold again, I get flood first, which if I turn it off, and this flood is 1800 lumens, and it's remembering that with the normal power button until I exit special modes by a single tap, and I'm back into the normal daily modes to select those by cycling through. So entering into tactical, and now everything is momentary. In order to change mode, I need to be pressing the power button and then tap. And again, just like with the daily mode, if I press and hold, oh, proven wrong. Okay, so the special modes are not available in tactical. There we go. So those floodlight, spotlight, they are daily mode only. That position 1. Now, don't want to do too much of this in the confined space that I'm working in for this video. We now have the tactical strobe ready switches, so they do the same thing, doesn't matter which one you hit. And so I'm in daily mode here. I'm going to only do this very briefly. Okay, so I have to be, what have I done? I think I've locked it out. Okay, let's unlock. Okay, so having just unlocked it, that's turbo. Other switch, exactly the same. Gets very hot very quickly in front of that. And we can switch to turbo if we are holding the tactical and we tap the mode. Okay, short press. not swapping. Let's just check that description again. Okay, it's responded to it now. So this is the strobe mode, and it appears to be while holding a very short click. And then we're into turbo and strobe, and the strobe is completely instantaneous. There's no delay, unlike some other strobe ready or similar strobe enabled lights. When you're set in strobe, these tactical buttons are immediate. Back to turbo, and just in those small high level outputs, this is really quite hot, the head of the light now. So those are obviously, once you've got used to it, you'll find the setup and mode use that you like, but you are going to need to look at the instructions, even just for the fact that at this point now we're locked out, and you wouldn't know that you have to hold the mode button as you slide that to get back to functioning. So the website review will have beam shots, runtime graphs, and loads more detail. Thank you for joining me. Get informed, be prepared, stay sharp.